On Wednesday the 6th of May, over 300 angry construction workers from sites up and down the country gathered to demonstrate outside the massive building site of the 2012 Olympics in London.
All out, Jim, all out! That's everything, all out! The whole site is closed! The whole site!
Blacklisted London electrician Steve Kelly was one of the main organisers of the demonstration.
Lindsay set this whole thing off. So congratulations to everyone from Lindsay and from other parts of the country that have made the effort to come down today. And this site here, the Olympics, you can all see it. It's one of the biggest sites in the country. We're looking for direct employment. We don't want any agencies, we don't want dodgy subcontractors. And we're after correct rates of pay for all workers, whatever nationality.
Steelworker Phil Willis from Kent was blacklisted by his company for union activity.
It took us a year and a half to get here, a year and a half to convince our union to try and do a demonstration outside here to highlight the plight of the construction worker. I know we've done a lot of good work the last couple of months up at LOR, Staithorpe and the Isle of Grain, but that's only a drop in the ocean to what we can do, because let's face it, this is the biggest bargaining power we'll ever have.
Recently there has been a wave of unofficial strike action on construction sites where workers are fighting against the blacklist and to maintain their hard-won Nike agreements from being eroded.
Companies undermine British workers by thinking that they can underpay EU workers and bring them in to do the same job as us. They're pitting them both against each other to try and bring the wage level down, so obviously they save money on every job. Which is, if at the end of the day, if they are willing and they are capable of doing the job, it's not a problem, as long as they're getting paid the same rates as what we get paid. You know, it's not a problem. We'll work alongside them.
This is all about exploitation of workers. It's not this. You know, this is where we've got to keep focus on. That it's the companies that are doing the exploitation, and it's not the workers. We are construction workers, work under the Nike agreement and the Blue Book. And when you see that agreement being eroded by these foreign companies using loopholes such as, you know, the Workers' Directive, the European Workers' Directive, then, you know, I mean, obviously people do get upset, you know. And at the moment, I say they can undercut the British companies because they pay their workers £10, 1 pence instead of £16.50, which you know is the rate of the Nike agreement.
The mass media has been incorrectly presenting the battle at Lindsay, Staithorpe and the Isle of Grain as being a fight for British jobs for British workers.
I mean, obviously, you're going to get some people who are racist, that's the way it is, but generally as an industry, our industry isn't racist. You know, people are not xenophobic in any way or nationalistic. That's all they want, is a fair crack of the whip.
Bob Crow, General Secretary of the RMT, spoke in solidarity. Rail, Maritime and Transport is one of the most militant trade unions and as a result has seen a big rise in membership.
The issue that we faced in the shipping industry in our union has been one where the British seafarers have lost their jobs to Indonesian workers, Filipino workers. And let me tell you something, the Indonesian workers and the Filipino workers are not the problem. The problem is the system that allows two workers to compete against each other to do the same job on a cheaper rate of pay. Yes. And the issue is simple. It's either there's a race to the bottom or the race to the top.
Construction workers are represented by the GMB and Unite unions, but the lack of response by the union leaders has led to widespread anger. John McEwen, a victimised worker from the Lindsay oil refinery, addresses the crowd.
The biggest fight has been in the construction industry in my lifetime, and yet no leadership is here because they have abdicated the role of leadership as far as we are concerned. Mr. Simpson, I think, must be discussing with Mr. Brown when we will be going on the dole, because he isn't saving any of our jobs up to now. We will build a leadership in this union if it comes from the rank and file. If our leaders don't want to lead us, then there's many men here that will fight and lead the way, and we will have a victory, boys.
Next up is Jerry Hicks, who ran as the left candidate for General Secretary of Amicus Unite and came runner-up to Derek Simpson with over 40% of the vote.
I'm here today in solidarity with you and with every worker. What we want is simple. We had Lindsay Oil, which was a tsunami of a fight back, and 100 jobs created in 5 days. 5 days of unofficial action. Unofficial action only because we've been criminalised. We should be able to put our hands up, and that should be enough to take action. 20 sites, you will know this, struck in solidarity during that week of struggle with Lindsay Oil. And that proved that a national strike in construction is possible. And that's what we should be demanding from our union, and our union should be delivering, is a national strike for construction workers. And I believe we should be demonstrating again and again and again. And if it's illegal, that's so. Because sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. Solidarity.
The demonstration heads to Westminster for a meeting inside Parliament with one of the few fighting Labour MPs, John McDonnell. He addresses the crowd before they head in.
We cannot have a situation in this country when there are major building contracts going on. We're building the Olympics, and yet people, workers are on the dole and fighting for a decent living. It is unacceptable when massive public investment is being poured into construction. Large sections of that investment is being ripped off in profits by the companies as a result of exploiting of working people and as a result of the use of blacklisting and victimisation. Fundamental problem is this: we cannot protect ourselves unless we have trade union rights back in this country. We were promised when this government was elected that there would be an abolition of Thatcher's anti-trade union laws. Well, we've waited 12 years and they're still in place. If we had back the right to strike, the right to solidarity action, we would urge other workers to come out and protect worker by worker to secure their jobs, to end blacklisting, to ensure people got decent rates of pay and there was an end of victimisation. So today what we're demanding off the government is straightforward. Every worker who wants to work has a job, a decent salary, a decent wage, but above all else they want basic protection, the ending of blacklisting and basic trade union rights restored in this country. And yes, the right to turn up in Parliament as British citizens to demonstrate and speak as well. So after this, we invite you across the House of Commons. We've invited other MPs to come across to hear your story and to discuss where we go from here with this campaign.
The day of action culminated in 2 overflow meetings inside Parliament, where the construction workers sharply explained their problems to a number of MPs, including John McDonnell.